Hello and hello again. I'm here at the Westgate Casino parking lot. I'm glad they let us stay here. And it's beautiful. If you look around all this, check this out. You see all these towers, Stratosphere, Sahara, and all these nice condo buildings behind. Really beautiful and clean. Next to my RV, you can see another RV. That's my buddy Joe's RV. He's gonna be later in this video. I got him on secret camera. Joe is full of stories. Joe is from New Jersey. He worked there in Atlantic City casinos from day one when they opened. He was the dealer mostly at the craps table, high stakes, and he has stories all day long. So this video is gonna be just some poker talk and poker stories. Let's start with my buddy Joe. Years ago, he got some illness, needed transplant, and he said just month before the transplant, he's in a casino, mostly feeling bad. He said it was hard for him even to walk, but poker was something giving him life. And there's a quote from his talk, that poker and playing cards made him feel human. That's amazing if you think about it. Your life goes down the drain, your health is leaving you, but that social aspect of the game makes us feel alive. Pushing chips in a pot, cracking jokes, getting in fight with people at the table makes us feel alive, human. His story started, and I didn't record from the beginning, but it started with him having pocket queens. There was raise, re-raise, 4-bet, and all in, and he's sitting there with pocket queens. And basically he said, I don't give a fuck, I call.
It was just one of them things. I said, fuck it, it's only money. I didn't give a fuck. And I hit the hand, and I was like, whoa. But it was a dumb call. Sometimes you make a dumb call.
Wow, you're having transplant coming and you don't care.
I didn't give 3 fucks, Dooley. I was going down there playing like it was my I didn't give a fuck. I was sitting, because some nights I go try to play poker and I couldn't even think. So I knew I shouldn't be playing poker, so I just go sit at the blackjack table. And I would just start laying it in there, and I'd win like 2, 3, 4,000. I had my bankroll up to about 20,000. I had about 20,000 in fucking cash in my house. We'd just go down there and play, because I was so fucked up in the head, and everybody around me was just, I didn't want to be near them. My son included. I couldn't fucking, I lost all connection to humans in like a loving way when I got sick. And the only thing that made me feel like a human being was being able to sit with a bunch of people playing poker. Because I was able to sit there, and it didn't matter that I couldn't move or my legs didn't work that well. As long as my brain was working that day, I could hold my own with them people.
Yeah.
And I felt like a human being, and it kept my brain working through that whole period. And it kept my brain sharp. I credit my brain coming back from all that chemo and all that shit, playing cards and going down there and just using my brain. Like I said, when I couldn't play poker, I'd go sit at the blackjack table because I was able to focus on one hand at a time. Because, it's just add the numbers, basic strategies, no thinking involved. For me, because I played so much. But poker, you got to start. But some nights I go down there, and it was amazing. I'd be all sick. I'm eating OxyContin, smoking weed. But some nights I go down there, my brain would be so locked in. And I would just sit there and pick people off. And I'd win 700-800 and I'd leave.
You see, Joe won that pot just for not caring. But again, let's emphasize that. Playing poker and cards, being able to focus only on one hand at a time, made him feel human after that surgery, transplant, and all those health problems. Joe played a lot of blackjack mostly, worked at a craps table and also played poker. He has stories because his father ran some card rooms, some illegal, ran the numbers. You see, that's like that all of the Italian community in Jersey. And his stories are really fascinating when you think about 50s, 60s, 70s, the old days that are gone now, and everything is synthetic, and these condo buildings.
Dude, I seen the guy from the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles, the guy that owned the Eagles used to come down there, Leonard Toes. He lost the whole team playing blackjack and craps. He'd buy the whole table. Blackjack, he'd play every spot, $3,000, and then he'd lose a ton of money in blackjack, and then by then he'd be so fucking drunk, he'd come to the crap table, have 3-4 women, none of them his wife, all young women, and then he'd come to the crap table, he could barely fucking see, and he'd be fucking shooting dice, and then, like I said, his daughter had a fucking, she took power of attorney over him, and deemed him almost fucking crazy, you know, because he was just a drunk. He ended up suing the casinos. Didn't win.
For the money?
Tried to get a lot of the money back.
But there was somebody...
They loved when he came in.
Somebody sued the casino here in Nevada because it's free drinks. And he said they gave me drinks, got me drunk.
Plied him.
Yeah, I lost 2.4 million and the court gave him money back.
Last night we went together to Venetian to play. I'm gonna tell you something. You may not believe in this, you may think it's a bullshit, but here what happened. Sometimes there's a sign that you don't read, or after the game when you lose 1,500, you would say, if just somebody called me and told me not to go to play. Yesterday I had that sign. So we parked here, came about 3-4 in the afternoon from Lake Mead, parked here at this parking lot. Strip is just a couple blocks that way. Joe has this Jeep, so we're gonna go to Venetian. I'm local, I'm from Las Vegas. Joe is the first time in Las Vegas after, I don't know, maybe 40 years. So now I'm giving him directions. We're driving, and then I say, go right on a Desert Inn Road. But basically, that was a mistake. Desert Inn Road goes over the strip and takes you down, going west. But Desert Inn Road got stuck in my head from the days when I was working and coming down to Venetian. Then I go on a Desert Inn Road to approach Venetian garage from Cowell Lane, from the back. So automatically I told him, go on Desert Inn Road, which took us like probably 1.5 miles off the strip, so we have to make a loop back. That was number one sign, something telling us, don't go to Venetian, we don't want you there. Well, we come finally to Venetian, making big loop over the Flamingo and down on Cowell, entering the garage, and there's a security guy. He's there at the entrance of a garage and just usually waving people on a stop sign. But he decided to check what is in Joe's truck. So in the back of the truck he has 2 propane bottles. You know, RVer having propane bottles. Security guys go, oh, it's against our policy, you cannot go in a garage. Well, where are we gonna park? He goes, go over there to Harris. So it's not okay for a Venetian garage, but we can go to Harris garage. So again, somebody telling us we are not welcome at the Venetian. We go and park in Harris garage, and because I didn't have my Caesars rewards card, we end up paying, actually Joe paid $12 for the parking. So motherfuckers at Harris still are charging for the parking. Basically we parked, walked to Venetian, got the seat, and then for 2.5 hours I was tortured. Joe had little better luck. He was down 100 or 2, and then he got a couple pots, so he ended up winning like $100 some. hour and a half at my table, really good and juicy action, except I'm not playing any hands, not one. There was only one hand, I was on a button, I queen 10 of hearts, I raised 20 free flop, I get 4 callers, flop is all black, they start betting and raising, I muck. That was the only hand that I played, hour and a half. I was actually down in hour and a half, $40 only. I asked the floor guy, hey, table change. Go to table 3. First hand, ace king. I said, table change works, buddy. Table change works. Ace king, 20 pre-flop. 2 callers. Flop is 8, 7, 6. 2 clubs. Continuation bet, $40. Both of them call. Turn, another club. They bet. I fold. Second hand, ace king suited. Flop is 4 high and I fold. Hour later I get pocket kings. Flop is jack high. I have only 1 caller. I bet, I get the call. Turn is an ace. Oh. But I still bet 1 more time. I get the call. The river, another ace. Guy checks. I happy to check show kings. He mucks. That's the only one hand I won in 2.5 hours and end up down $260. So think about now those 2 signs that told me not to go to Venetian. You're not welcome. Even security guy told you, not welcome. Go over there. You believe in that? I run bad. I run bad. Now one more thing is left. Top 5. I know you miss it. I know you missed it in last few videos, no top 5. Well, right now, top 5. I have a subscriber on the channel that when I mentioned John Steinbeck's book, that subscriber downloaded it on Amazon, read it, and said, oh, great book. So then I suggested another book. So I said, it's time to give you top 5 books that I read, and I think if you read it, it's gonna change you. Like it did to me, the effect those books had on me. But let me tell you something first about reading books. I started reading books when I was 8 years old. It was January. I got flu, didn't go to school that day, stayed home. My mom has to leave to go to work, took my sister to school, and to entertain me, leaving me alone at home, grabs the first book from the shelf and give it to me. It was part 1 of 3 fat books, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, the Russian famous writer and famous book. That ain't the book for 8-year-old, trust me. I still remember the first 50 pages. It is some monstrously long description. There's no action, there's no dialogue, just description. Well, I guess Tolstoy was the master of that. I read the book, and actually, after that, continue reading the classics. 8 years, 9 years, 10 years old. I was reading like 2 books a day. At the age of 10, I went to a library to check out some new books. I usually take 7, 8 books. 3 days later, I'm back for more. The lady at the front desk in a library told me there is not one book in this children's department of library that you didn't touch. There's nothing for you here anymore. So you have to go to 3rd floor, there's adults section, library. So I went over there and continued reading. A lot. Here are 5 books I want to recommend. I read them long ago, probably over 40 years. I was very young and they had a great effect on me. Book number 1, my favorite author of all times, John Steinbeck, To God Unknown. It is hard to explain this book, but
And I finished it, and I closed the last page. I didn't move probably for 2 hours. I was like stoned. It left such a huge feeling on me. And it's telling you the plot. It means nothing. The whole story is based on a main character, Joseph Wayne, and his connection with the land. It's the family that moved from east to California. They got some ranch. The drought came. Everything is dying without water. And it's really heavy and hard story. Number 2 is actually the book that's probably number 1 on many lists of books that you must read. Fyodor Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. That is such a philosophical piece of work that I think it should be mandatory for everybody to read it. There should be some federal law or amendment in Constitution that makes you read it, analyze it, and study it. The book is about your inner moral values. Again, something hard to explain. You have to read it. And it's not, again, about the plot. It's about the feelings that creates, ideas that it gives you. And like I said, it's probably philosophical work. Book number 3 is another Russian writer, Mikhail Bulgakov, and his masterpiece, Maestro and Margarita. Book was written about 1930 under the Stalin's regime, and Bulgakov died in 1940, and book was not published. Later, about 1966, they published some censored version because you couldn't, in Soviet Union, write whatever you want. But next year, in 1967, the original was published in France. And really fast, I read the book about 1970, I think. Was translated in Serbian language. I read it. And a couple years later, I think, just I finished the high school, it was 1972 or 3, there was a Serbian production, the movie Maestro and Margarita. And I was a part of that movie. I was in a crowd. They gave me some old military coat, and I was there in a crowd. I even didn't see myself. Maybe that part was cut, but I was there, and I remember the shooting. I was even paid something for that. Paid. Another book that's hard to explain because it's not about the plot. It's satirical, and it has part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is about the devil being in Moscow, in Soviet Union, country without religion, but devil is messing up with them there. And the part 2 is named Margarita, and it's about Margarita, the mistress. And like I said, I even don't want to tell you what is it about, because I cannot. I even don't know what is it about. You have to read it. It's satirical and again maybe philosophical work, and by many valued as the one of the most important books of the 20th century. Number 4, it's something lighter, actually even serious of books. There's 4 books: Gargantua and Pantagruel by Francis Robellas, French name I don't know to pronounce. He was in Franciscan order, studied the medicine, Greek and Latin language, very educated, and in those days only church people were educated. Often traveled to Rome, and somehow some of the French big shots, cardinal or somebody, actually forbid him to write and publish books. So somehow he became a friend with the King of France, Francis I, and King gave him permission to print and publish the books. Can you imagine that? In United States, we have freedom of speech, pornography is okay and everything. In France, in those days, 1500 something, the king had to give you permission to print the books. That's amazing. But Pantagruel and Gargantua are father and son, the giants, and it's about their adventures. It's kind of satire comedy, but it talks about some serious stuff through humor. He also wrote later and combined its 4 books in the series, and I remember when I finished the 4th book, I said, my God, why is there no more? I want more of this. I want more. But the king died and he couldn't continue writing. That's the problem. Book number 5 in my recommendation is the Serbian author Ivo Andrić and his book Bridge on the River Drina. And he got the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1961 for this book. Book describes the history of the area where that bridge was built by Mehmet Pasha Sokolovic, who became some high-ranked in Ottoman Turkey army, some general. So this bridge is in Bosnia, town called Visegrad, and the Turks occupied the territory from 14th century through 1900 and the beginning of World War I. There was something interesting in history. Ottoman Turks, they came from east, took Constantinople, went into Eastern Europe, occupied the Serbia, Bosnia, and all those lands there around Bulgaria, Romania, and they had something called the blood tax. They come to village and take newborn babies, like just few months old, a year old, male, and take them to Istanbul and raise them there to be the soldiers. Those were the best soldiers in the world, trained all their life from early age to become a soldier. One of them was Mehmet Pasha Sokolovic, who somehow found his roots, went back to Bosnia and built that bridge over the river Drina, and the book talks about that. Good writing and educational, but also very emotional. So with this, I had to conclude this video. Thanks you if you stick around for this half hour almost. Good luck on the felt and see you down the road.